Hi guys, how's it going? It's all not Unpacking and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'll be doing a portfolio update and sharing how much I have made on Easyequities. That will be my total dividends that I've received from all my stocks and my ETFs and all the profit or loss that I have made. That will be the total portfolio dividends and total portfolio profit or loss. I'll also go through every single stock or company that I have to see if I have made a profit or a loss, and I'll do the same for my ETFs as well. I haven't been investing for a long time. It has only been 10 months. The first video that I've shot and put on my YouTube channel was me investing 1,000 rand, and it was shot 10 months ago. It has been quite an interesting journey because I got to learn few things here and there, and I got to realize that I've made mistakes here and there. So I will be sharing all of those because there's some stocks that I have sold and purchased and ETF that I have sold and purchased as well. And that is because this thing is a journey. I learn as I go, and I do have people that commented on one of my videos that I need to rebalance my portfolio, I need to sell some shares and all of that. And I really do appreciate people that come onto my channel and say, do this instead of that, or consider doing this instead of doing that, just to show me here and there that I'm not really making the right decisions. So when I started investing, the goal was to build a monthly dividend portfolio. That is why if you can go back to the last video that I've made on Invest With Me, I have purchased, I think, 5 REITs to be particular that I have added to my portfolio. Reason being that they were paying dividends on different months. Therefore, I had made sure that all the stocks that I'm adding are going to pay me monthly dividends. That is what I was trying to achieve. And I have sold all of those stocks and I repurchased Storage Property Fund. Reason being that for selling, I just realized that I needed to rebalance my portfolio. As much as I wanted to receive dividends consistently, so I had to diversify. And having a lot of REITs in one portfolio, or having a portfolio that is heavily invested in REITs, it was going to weigh down my portfolio performance. Reason being that REITs are not the best performing stocks. You could find that maybe one company, yes, but in general, REITs are not stocks that will give you high growth because they pay dividends. And I did talk about this in one of my videos, I think in Dividend Investing for Beginners, saying that if you want to get growth from your investments, you cannot go and heavily invest in companies that pay dividends, because when a company pay dividend, they're not going to have that much in growth, share price appreciation. This is for companies that pay a high dividend yield. And we know that REITs have high dividend yields because they're obliged to pay at least 70% of their profits to their investors. So I got to realize that having this REITs, so much of them in my portfolio, was weighing them down. And when I think about it, at the time, I would be at a loss. My portfolio would be at a loss because I had a lot of REITs and maybe 1 or 2 stocks in different industries. So I had to rebalance my portfolio and just make sure that in as much as I want to receive dividends, I also need to maintain returns in my portfolio. So I repurchased storage and I sold all my other REITs. So this was my portfolio before I rebalanced it. As you can see, there are a lot of REITs and I only have First Rand, Premier Group, and Zeda that was in different industries. So I had to rebalance, as I've mentioned, to just for diversification purposes also, and to just make sure that I don't have this one industry. I'm not heavily invested in this industry that in its nature is not great for growth, So I sold all of them, and later I repurchased storage because in as much as I was trying to get rid of them, since there's a ETF for REITs in South Africa or property stocks in South Africa, I just thought, let me just have one left, and then I will take all the money that I had invested in all of those and put it into this ETF. I'll talk about it later. Another reason why I sold my REITs besides rebalancing my portfolio was because of the tax implications. When you have REITs in your portfolio and you receive dividends from them, they're going to be taxed under the income tax, not dividends tax. That is why. And having so many REITs, I just thought, oh my God, I'm going to be taxed, and why can't I just buy an ETF that have all of these REITs? If now I have 7 REITs in my portfolio and then there's this ETF that has 10 REITs and 7 of them are the ones that I have in my portfolio, why can't I just sell all of them and buy that property ETF. And if you think about it, this is the whole reason why there are ETFs, so that when you have these companies that you want to invest in, but you want to invest in all of them, you might as well just buy one ETF that has all of those companies that you want in your portfolio. So I sold all of them, as I've mentioned, and I purchased this ETF. So now I'm gonna go into my Easyequities account to go through my portfolio and see how much I have made and how much I have lost, and the dividends that I have received in the past year. So right now my portfolio is on 2.21% profit. Guys, the way the market is so volatile, when I shot my video on how much I have saved and invested, my portfolio was on 6%. But on Friday, when the market closed, my portfolio was on 2.2%. How crazy is that? But that is the price that you pay of being invested and staying invested. And this is my Easyequities account, and on here I have my stocks and one ETF, and currently I'm on 1.5% profit. I only have 4.8 invested. This ETF that I have added, I didn't have this in the past year. I recently added it, and I'll explain just now. And I hope to achieve at least 80% in ETFs. I don't want to have a lot in stocks or individual companies, and reason being that individual companies will give you a heart attack. I don't want that, and I don't feel like it's good for me. I won't be able to take that much of risk. I'd rather only have 20% loss than to have maybe 80% loss, because if now all my stocks were to decline by 90%, then I would have lost 90% of all the money that I would have been invested. So I don't want that. I'm going to make sure that there's changes to 80% or 90% ETFs and 20% equities. The ETF that I have added is the One Invest S&P Infotech. If you're going to look at the performance of this ETF in the past year, I think it's 65% gain, something like that. And the reason why I have it in my Easyequities account is because it does not pay dividends, it's for growth. So I'd rather have it here than have it in my TFSA. And in the future, when I want to sell it, if it's in my TFSA, I'm going to lose out on tax benefits. So I'd rather have it here and know that when I now sell it and take the profits and move them to the TFSA, it's not really a hassle, and I won't be losing out on anything. And for those that wonder on the taxes in the Easyequities account, just note that there is CGT and there's a 40,000 annual exclusion. So I'll make sure that I sell it while I'm on less than 40,000 profit, and I won't attract any taxes. So it makes sense for me to have it in my Easyequities account because it doesn't pay dividends, so it's for growth. Another stock that I have added is FirstRand. For diversification purposes, guys, I just thought to have another stock in the financial sector, so I added FirstRand. And I know that there's your Absa's unit bank. I just had to choose, and I chose FirstRand also because I bank with them, so I added them in here. As you can see, I only made a profit of 58 rands, which is 5.72% of what I have invested, and in dividends I received 11 rand 75 cents. This was at the time that I received these dividends, I didn't have a lot of shares. Remember that I rent cost average, so I probably didn't have that much invested in it. So now when I'm going to receive dividends in the coming year, they're going to be a bit more. So don't be surprised when you see that I haven't made a lot in dividends, but I have so much invested. It's because at the time that I received my dividends, I didn't have a lot of shares. Remember that some of these companies last paid dividends in June or September, and it's January right now, so don't be surprised. So I made a profit of 58 rands and a dividend of 11 rands, and a total return 70.66 cents. The reason why I calculated like this is because if now I'm going to sell this holding, right, and I don't have my dividends reinvested, I would have received 11 rands in dividends and also realize 58 rands in profits. That's why I say that there is a total return of 70 rand 66 cents. Another company that I have added is Pick n Pay, and I didn't receive any dividends from Pick n Pay because I added it later, I think November, somewhere there. So I didn't receive any dividends from them, but I hope that they'll pay dividends in the coming year. And the reason why I chose it over ShopRite and other retail sectors is because I hope and I believe that it will get back on its feet. And if it does, then my total return in it will be a bit more. I'll have a lot in dividends and I'll also have a lot in capital appreciation. I also have Premier Group. This one doesn't pay dividends, but they had said that they're going to start paying dividends in 2024. So I really hope that they stick to that decision to start paying dividends. And me being to dividends, guys, I wouldn't just add any stock if it wasn't paying dividends, unless if it's for growth, which I'll speak about growth investing in my upcoming videos. So this one, I didn't make that much. It's only 0.26%, which is 1 rand and 76%. And it's been quite volatile, but not too volatile. So I really see there's a bit of consistency in the way that it performs. So I'm not really complaining about it. So the next stock that I have is Storage Property Fund or Income Fund. It's on 3.68%. Storage this year, I feel like it has been quite consistent. It didn't really lose out on a lot, and we know that currently the interest rates are just way too high, and that weighs down on the performance of REITs. But storage for me did quite well, and I only made 27 rands 98 cents from them, which is 3.68%. And I also received dividends from them, which amounts to 18 rands 30 cents. The total return on it is 41.28%. I added the profit there and the dividends. The next stock is Thungela. This is the people's favorites for dividends. So Thungela has gotten a beating this year, honestly, and I made a video on it. I will link it down below as to why it hasn't been performing quite well. I'm not really complaining. According to me right now, Thungela is a quality stock. It has a high dividend and it affords to pay dividends. So I'm not really complaining when it's performing poorly. I hope that it will pick up and everything will be well. So I only received a dividend of 8 rands 15 cents. I think they declared 10 rands per share, but because of tax, I ended up having 8 rands 15 cents in dividends. And at the time, I only had 1 share. So right now I have 7 shares in Thungela, and if it was to pay dividends of 10 rands per share, I would get 70 rands. So total return that I have is 41 rand 25 cents. And the last stock that I have is Zeda Limited, which is up 5.03%. That amounts to 40 rand and 69 cents. It doesn't pay dividends. I just hope that in the future it pays dividends. And I don't know how long I'm gonna have it in my portfolio, because I'm not yet comfortable with growth stocks, especially individual companies. ETFs are just so simple to track their performance and be okay that this will yield me good returns. But with a company, is it still tricky for me? I'm not so confident in growth investing, so I don't know how long I'm gonna have it in my portfolio. But for now, since I have it, it's not really doing that bad, so I'm happy with it. 40 rand and 69 cents is not that bad. And before I sold some of my REITs, I had received dividends from other companies that I had in my portfolio, and the total dividends amounted to 29 rands 44 cents. So now this is the total dividends that I have received from all the stocks, which amounts to 62 rand 64 cents and a profit of 72 rand 12 cents and a total return of 134 rand 76 cents. And then moving into my TFSA, I have 22.7 thousand invested, and it's up 2.45%. I really love TFSA, guys. On here I have ETFs and they're performing quite well. Like, honestly, you'll hardly go wrong with ETF investing. That's if you pick the right ETFs and you just make sure that the ETFs that you have chosen have great capital appreciation. So this one is my fighter, I don't want to lie. So the first ETF that I have is the one invest as a property, the one that I've mentioned. When I sold my REITs on my Easyequities at AR account, I transferred the funds into this ETF because it's a property and REITs are property stocks. So I have lost. It's down 3.94%, which is 126 rands. And guys, just the other day, on last week, probably Monday, it was up, but now it's down. But anyway, we know that property industry right now is not doing that well, so I'm not really complaining. I am down 126 rands, and the dividends that I have received from this ETF is 39.98 cents. The total loss, it's a loss because I have 126 rands in loss and I've received dividends of 39 rands. So when I take that amount that is a negative and I add it to this 39.98 rands, it gives me total loss of 86.80 rands. So I lost, and it's okay, especially because I know what is happening. It doesn't really shock me. I'm not complaining. And the second ETF I have is the Global 1.2 FOF by First Rand. This one is one of my fighters. It has performed well the entire year. I'm really happy with it. And I didn't have it at first. At the beginning of the year when I started investing, I didn't have it. So I added it along the way, and it is up 6.5%, which is 120 rands. And the dividend that I have received from it is 6 rand and 62 cents, which gives me a total return of 126 rands 65 cents. Moving on to the next, I have the top 40 Cetrix ETF. This one also I added it as time went by. And can you talk about the performance by top 40, guys? Top 40 and Cetrix kept all share. No, not happy at all. But those who know that the JSE in 2023, no, didn't do well. So I'm not really complaining. I mean, top 40 is one of the best ETFs, and kept all share also. I don't have dots on it. So I am down 0.98%. I'm on a loss, and I've received dividends of 10 rand 89 cents, which is not a lot because at the time that I received these dividends, as I've mentioned, guys, I didn't have a lot of shares. So also I added it a bit later, so I missed out on, I think, 2 dividends. Yes, because I added it in the second semester, so I only got dividends from it once. Not really complaining, but anyway, I'm on a total loss of 3 rands 3 cents. And then the next one that I have is the kept all share. I love this one. I picked it because of dividends. It pays dividends 6 times a year, so I get paid 6 times a year. So I'm on a loss also, 1.46% down, which is 23 rands 58 cents, and I received dividends of 23 rands 18 cents, which gives me a total loss also of 40 cents. I'm not complaining, as I've mentioned. I love it, and I'll keep it, because I'm into dividends, and it gives me dividends consistently 6 times a year, as I've mentioned. So we'll see how it performs in the coming year. Hopefully the JSE will pick up and I'll be on some green. And then there's the Dividend Plus ETF. This one is my favorite. I love it so much. And as you can see, I have 8,000 invested in it, which is way too higher compared to the rest of the ETFs. And reason being that I want to get more in dividends income. And I know that DV Plus will get me to the goal that I want. Like for 2024, I want to receive at least or a total of 1,000 rand in dividends. So that is why I am heavily invested in it. So currently it is up 1.72%. And throughout the year, it was down. Like I was on red probably the entire year. And I'm pretty sure that on Monday when the market opens, I'm going to be on red with this one. But I'm not complaining because, with dividend stocks, you hardly get much in capital appreciation. It's only for dividends. So even if it was to be on red for 40 years until I retire, I wouldn't have any issue because I'm using it for dividends, and that is why I have so much invested in it. So I have gained 137, and the dividends that I've received from it is 82.49 cents, a total return of 219 rands and 73 cents, which is higher than all that I've received from my stocks and other ETFs. And then moving to the next one, I have the Nasdaq 100. It doesn't pay dividends and it's up 10%. This one also one of the best performing ETFs. I don't know the year to date performance, like percentage. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's a bit higher than 10%. It's doing really well. You hardly go wrong with this one, but it doesn't pay dividends. And with how I want to invest in 2024, I'm not so sure if I'm going to continue keeping it in my TFSA. I think I'm going to stop contributing towards it and add it into my Easyequities ZAR account. And for the same reasons that I've mentioned for the one invest that I have added in my Easyequities account, that it's for growth, and later in life I would want to sell them and invest the profits into DV ETF or any other ETF for dividends. So I think I'm going to stop contributing towards it. Another dividend that I have is the Signia Global Property ETF, and I'm up 5.35%. This one also throughout the year it has been on red. It's only recently that it has started picking up. I don't know what's happening with the property industry globally, but it's good to see it on some gain actually. And I haven't received dividends from it because I think I added it later, and it pays dividends only twice a year, so I missed out the payout in June. I'm gonna catch another one, so it's paying dividends on the 15th of January. Yes, so I'll be receiving dividends from it. And then the next one that I have is the Signia S&P 500. This one also, you hardly go wrong with it. If you don't have the S&P 500 ETF in your portfolio, ma'am, sir, I don't know what you're doing. Don't feel bad, just go and add it. This one is up 7.19%, and also it's going to pay dividends again in January 15, but I did receive dividends from it, and I received 3 rands 5 cents. Also because at the time that it paid dividends, I didn't have much invested. So we'll see how much I'm going to get from it on the 15th of Jan. And the total return is 115 rands 35 cents. And then the total dividends from my TFSA account is 166 rands 21 cents, and the profit is 543, and then the total return is 709 rands. This for me is great, and I'm quite impressed. I can't really say much. And then moving to the total portfolio dividends, profit and return. For dividends I made 228 rands, and then for profit is 615, and return is 844 rands and 66 cents. And yeah guys, that's how much I made on Easyequities in 2023. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Please comment down below with how much you have made and the total dividend that you have received if you have any dividend stocks. Thank you so much for watching once again. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.